My name is Daniel Carter.
I came to Macau to double my savings and ended up running comms with a woman in a red dress, a Filipino hustler, and a suitcase full of secrets. This isn't a love story. It's a jackpot with a heartbeat. I wasn't supposed to be in Macau. I was supposed to be in Sydney, sulking through another birthday, wondering where it all went wrong. But something, boredom, maybe fate, pushed me to book that flight. I arrived with nothing but a suitcase and a ridiculous plan. Double my life savings at the tables. Classic desperate man logic. I'd been losing for 2 days straight. The casinos were brutal, the kind of brutal that smiles at you with gold teeth and takes your soul in chips. I was tired, broke, and one cocktail away from selling my shoes. And that's when I saw her. A woman in a red dress. She wasn't a showgirl. She wasn't a waitress. She just stood there at the baccarat table, elegant and still, like the world had paused to make space for her. Her name was Lian. I didn't ask. She told me. "You're betting scared," she said. "Scared men always lose." Then she picked up my last chip and placed it for me, dragon's side, high bet. I rolled my eyes, but I let it ride, and it hit. That was the moment everything changed. We became a team. She knew the floor like a shark knows water. Dealers nodded at her. Pit bosses looked uneasy. I was in the company of someone dangerous, but I was too enchanted to care. We started winning. Not just small wins, big ones. Roulette tables, card rooms, secret games in the back of dim sum restaurants after midnight. She moved through Macau like it belonged to her, and I, the lovesick fool, followed her deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. There was one night, I still think about it, when we were playing high-stakes mahjong in the back room of a dodgy massage parlor on the edge of Taipei. The neon sign outside said, "Relax Spa," but the only thing relaxing about it was the exit. The room was dimly lit, reeking of incense and cheap aftershave. 2 men in white suits sat across from us, barely speaking, their bodyguards standing by the door like statues. One of them had slipped a pistol under the table, and I only noticed because he scratched his ankle with it, like it was a habit. Lian translated their quiet muttering with a perfect smile, never once letting on that I felt in over my head, but she was fine. We won that night, not because of luck, but because she distracted them long enough for me to catch that they were using marked tiles. We cashed out fast and left through the back, past a row of girls pretending to smoke, one of whom gave me a thumbs up, like I'd survived some dark initiation. Another time we found ourselves invited, or rather pulled, into a private game hosted by a man known only as Mr. Zhou. He wore tinted glasses indoors and had a koi pond inside his penthouse suite. It wasn't a game we could afford to lose, not because of the money, but because Mr. Zhou didn't seem like the kind of man who handled disappointment well. That night, Lian introduced me to the concept of calculated surrender. We lost deliberately, walked away lighter in cash, but still breathing. The real win was staying alive. And then there was Rico. Rico was the third wheel we didn't expect. A Filipino hustler with a Colgate smile, a fake Rolex, and an accent that could talk its way through locked doors. We met him during a fake watch sting that turned into a real poker game, held in the basement of a noodle shop. Rico dealt fast, talked faster, and somehow won over both of us. He wasn't like the others. He didn't want to own the table. He just wanted to survive the night and tell a good story about it. He started traveling with us, fixing games, reading rooms, whispering odds like some streetwise prophet. He added chaos, humor, and heart. He became our lookout, our translator, our backup plan when things went sideways, and they often did. We started calling ourselves Team 3 Card. It was half joke, half strategy. I was the face, the confused foreigner with beginner's luck. Lian was the queen, Graceful, ruthless, unpredictable. Rico, he was the wild card, sometimes literally. We moved like ghosts through Macau's neon underbelly, showing up where we weren't expected and vanishing before the scent of our winnings could catch wind. There was a night at the Lisboa in a smoky room reserved for rich Singaporean businessmen and the kind of men who had bodyguards with matching cufflinks. Rico convinced us we could win at Sick Bow, a game I'd barely played. Lian was skeptical, but Rico was glowing like a slot machine on tilt. "It's not about the dice," he said. "It's about who rolls it." So he paid a waitress 300 patakas to swap places with the dealer. The real dealer took a smoke break, or maybe just looked the other way. The waitress, bless her soul, didn't know how to read the dice. She rolled. We won. She rolled again. We won again. The pit boss started to squint. Lian casually spilled a drink on the table and said, "We're cashing out. The dice are tired." We left with 30,000 US in chips and 2 free memberships to a golf club we never visited. Then there was the Kowloon Cowboy. Not a real cowboy, just a stocky expat in snakeskin boots and a laugh like a malfunctioning blender. He ran an illegal poker tournament out of a karaoke lounge in Koh Tai. Buy-in was 15 grand. Winner took all. The catch? The last hand was played in the dark. Literally. The lights went out. No one knew who was bluffing who. Lian didn't blink. She leaned over during the blackout and whispered in Cantonese to the waitress delivering drinks. 10 seconds later, the backup lights flicked on for just half a second, long enough for her to see everyone's cards. She folded with flair, left me in, and somehow I walked away with the pot. But it wasn't always clean wins and cocktails. There was a night we almost didn't walk away at all. A guy called Victor No-Nose, guess why? Had been trailing us through several games. We thought he was just another wannabe high roller. Turned out he worked for a rival triad group who believed Lian owed them something. Debt, favors, loyalty, it didn't matter. What mattered was that he cornered us in a seafood restaurant at midnight, right as we were arguing over whether the crab was undercooked. I stood up first. "We don't want trouble," I said, palms up. Victor smiled and said, "You're already in it." Lian stepped in front of me, not because she was scared, but because she wasn't. "You want something?" she asked. "Win it from me." And just like that, we were playing Russian roulette with dice. Literally, loser took the risk. We were betting on fate. I still remember the sound the die made when it hit the plate. I remember Rico holding his breath. I remember thinking, I should have stayed in Sydney. And I remember Lian winning. Again. Victor walked away. It was the first time I realized Lian didn't just play to win. She played to survive. But even Rico couldn't keep the heat off us forever. After a crooked baccarat game at the Galaxy, Lian found a note slipped into her bag. A red envelope. No writing, just a playing card inside. The Queen of Spades, torn in half. She didn't explain what it meant. She didn't need to. We stopped playing for money after that. We started playing for time. We made a deal. One last night in Macau. We'd put everything we had on one final bet. Win or lose, we'd leave. Together. Start over. Somewhere quiet. Laos, maybe, or Lisbon. I didn't care. We walked into the win like movie villains in love. I remember her lipstick. I remember the way her hand trembled for just a second before placing that final chip. The table was silent. Time slowed. And then, we won. 7 figures. Security didn't even blink, they knew her. We were escorted to a private elevator. I thought we were safe. I thought we'd made it. Then the doors opened. The Red Lotus would like a word. What followed? Chaos. Lian hit the emergency stop. I disarmed a guy with a champagne bottle. She had a knife in her heel. By the time we stumbled into a service hallway, laughing and bleeding, I was madly, stupidly in love with her. We didn't leave Macau that night. We stayed another week, faking names, paying off bribes, trading chips for silence. When we finally boarded a ferry to Hong Kong, I looked back at the city, bright, ruthless, unforgettable, and I realized something. I hadn't gambled and won, she had. She bet on me. And for the first time in my life, I was the jackpot. We disappeared. With what we'd managed to keep, a little cash, a lot of fake passports, and a whole suitcase of stories, we left the chaos behind. We said goodbye to Rico in Kuala Lumpur. He wanted to head back to Manila, maybe open a karaoke bar, maybe run for city council. I believed both were possible. He hugged me like a brother and whispered, "Take care of her. She's fire, but even fire wants to rest." Lian and I took a train south. No more five-star hotels, no more poker rooms. We were done with velvet tables and whispering men in suits. Eventually, we found ourselves in a small fishing village on the coast of southern Thailand. A quiet place where the air smelled like salt, not perfume and cigarettes. We rented a little wooden house with a rusted tin roof and mango trees out back. The neighbors didn't ask questions. They just smiled, offered us grilled fish, and let us be. Lian taught English at a nearby school. I started writing again, not just about us, but everything. The games, the danger, the wins, the losses, and the woman who showed me that you don't gamble with your life. You bet on the people who make it worth living. Some mornings, I watch her walk back from the market, holding a bag of fruit in one hand and shielding her eyes from the sun with the other. The red dress is gone, but she's still the woman who made the world stop. And me? I'm still the fool who let her place the first bet. Only this time, I never want to cash out.